run-of-the-mill conservatives that really don't understand what's going on or really don't understand why they're feeling this way. And I think that the video was entitled, "It's Time for the Right to Wake Up," or "Conservatives to Wake Up," or something like this. I went over this article on that video, and this was an article from the Washington Post. The headline is, "The NRA will fall. It's inevitable." The subheadline is, "Just look at the demographics." Now, they go on to say support for and opposition to gun control is closely associated with several demographic characteristics, including race. Many don't like to admit this, but this is objectively true. They go on to admit that polls show that whites tend to favor gun rights over gun control by a significant margin, 57% to 40%. Yet whites, who comprise 63% of the population today, won't be in the majority for long.
Is what I thought about a government mandatory buyback program for guns. Yeah, what do I think about that? Well, start off with, I guess I got to point out that all the crazy Democrats that are running for president, they seem all for it.
Who in God's name needs a weapon that can handle 100 rounds? For God's sake.
AKs, ARs, they have no business in our neighborhoods in peacetime in the United States of America. They are for war zones.
And more people, by the way, agree with the position I've had for a long time, that we should ban the sale and distribution of assault weapons in this country, which I think is the right thing to do.
And I got to tell you, this revelation that you brought to my attention really has jumped to the head of the class, and I'm extremely worried about it.
Hi, Dave. Well, yeah, I got it last night from a text from one of my quote-unquote jitters, and there are in Denver, in a secret location, very well guarded, cameras, you know the drill, gun-eating machines. These are $500,000 a piece, and at current they have 5 of them in Denver.
As you can see, the firearm has some very distinct bends in the barrel. The working parts of the breech has been crushed and bent. So this firearm can now no longer be used at any point in time by anybody.
So the question is, and we talked about this earlier before your other source backed it up for Virginia and the Bay Area, is how are they going to get the guns, Dave?
Intimidation. I don't think anyone today has the resources necessary to confiscate 423 million guns.
No, they don't. And, you know, the fact, you know, when I was doing radio with Norm Resnick back during the callers who called in the shows talking about, well, they're going to come get our guns. And, of course, this is before the internet. And I said, no, I don't think so. I said, they may get town A, whatever that happens to be. What are they going to do with B through Z? The gig will be up. And, I mean, now we've got smartphones and text messaging and the internet and everything like that. I don't know how they're going to do it.
Well, in Denver, excuse my math if I'm off here, but I'm just guessing. I think they just spent $5 million. They 10 of them at $500,000 a piece. Are they scattered throughout the city, or are they concentrated in one area? Do you know?
One area.
Let me make a wild guess, and if you can't answer, I understand, or you don't know. How about the Federal Center out there in Lakewood off of 6th Avenue?
Very well could be.
You don't know, in other words.
No. This comes from a brother Marine. So they're getting ready for something, Dave.
You know, Paul, I think about gun confiscation. It is a fool's errand. It is.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, here in Will County, as well as Larimer County, both the sheriffs saying, well, you know, that they're not going to support any gun confiscation.
Let me play devil's advocate here with this information, okay? We know that Virginia is beta testing voluntary gun compliance. We already know that.
Yeah.
And we know the governor is a part of that, Governor Northam. Do you think this is possibly a PSYOP and they're just testing compliance? People's reaction? What do you think?
You know, it could be, but with the current news on these gun-eating machines at $500,000 a piece, I mean, they're not going to spend that kind of money for a PSYOP. I mean, because this wasn't even supposed to be out.
What if they didn't spend the money and they just floated the information out there just as a weather balloon about how people are going to react? I'm just looking at this from all angles, Paul. I'm not saying that what we're hearing. Listen, I've got the same information you do. I don't have it as specific as you have it, but I have it to do with the fact that plans to collect and destroy guns are in place in the Bay Area and in Virginia, just across the river from DC. So, you know, I guess we're going to find out over time. If it's a PSYOP, they're gonna expand the information here pretty quickly. How would you rate the gun confiscation PSYOP beta test in Virginia? Do you think this has been producing the results that the globalists hope that they get?
I think they knew what they were going to get. I mean, it's up at the ncrenegade.com. He called into the National Guard there in Virginia and was talking to a gentleman there and asking him, you know, if the governor said, come get our guns, are you going to do it? And the guy said, no, under no conditions. So they don't have enough troops for this stuff.
Even if they brought the Chinese in, I don't think they could get this done.
Yeah.
I really don't. I'm wondering this, and I'll tell you, I talked to somebody that we both know about who's in a federal law enforcement agency, and and I asked him, without putting him on the spot, I just said, what do you think this is? He said, I think they're measuring how far they're going to have to go to intimidate a number of guns to be turned in. They're not looking for total reduction. They're looking for some reduction to minimize the potential resistance they're going to get when the poop hits the fan. How does that sound to you? Because that's what was suggested to me.
Well, it could be. I mean, you and I both know a lot of gun owners. I don't know anybody's going to turn their guns in.
No, my answer is no and hell no. And I'm not even a gun guy. I mean, I don't even hunt anymore. And, you know, I don't go out sport shooting or anything like that. It's been years since I've been to the range. But even I will not ever, ever, never, ever give up a weapon. Never. Because history tells me when they come after the guns, it's not long until they come after you. So no way.
Yeah, it would be a bloodbath of biblical proportions. You know, I've said this on other podcasts. There had been a 338 Lapua from where I'm sitting to North Denver to take over a small Central American country. And there's 550s just within a 2-mile radius of where I'm sitting. So, I mean, there's just no way.
Okay, I agree with you. Listen, we're in total agreement.
Yeah, I mean, they can release a bioweapon. You know, let's say bring your guns here and, you know, and get the antidote or something like that. But
I know, exchange your gun for food. I mean, listen, I can see that coming into play. Guns for food and or guns for getting your kids back. They take your kids from school like they did in Operation Mountain Guardian at Sports Authority Field. Look it up, folks. I wrote about it extensively, and I've written about it numerous times in the last 8 years because I do think that they're going to use things to draw us to the camps. They're going to use things to get the guns out of our hands, and I think that's one possibility. But, Paul, I think we're in agreement here on this.
But I think we can all agree that the Democratic Party here in the U.S. is not necessarily a fan of gun rights. In fact, current presidential candidate Michael Bloomberg, the sort of harbinger of tyranny, has had his hands in shaping the Virginia legislature. Last summer, Governor Blackface unveiled a super aggressive plan for sweeping gun control. The House and Senate, around the same time, announced two separate bills with a similar agenda, stripping the rights of law-abiding citizens. For whatever reason, those bills haven't moved forward, at least until now. In November of 2019, Senate Bill 16 reared its ugly head as a sort of amalgamation of the prior attempts at gun control. And guys, it's intense. The gun grabbers are trying to prohibit the importation, sale, transfer, manufacture, purchase, possession, or transportation of assault firearms, whatever that is, and certain types of magazines. It also would prohibit carrying a shotgun that holds more than 7 rounds in a public place, which is a weird thing to specifically prohibit. Not only that, but there's also another bill, Senate Bill 18, which would ban private sales entirely and raise the minimum firearm purchasing age to 21. It seems someone is importing pure concentrated moron juice from California, New York, and New Jersey and pumping it into the state legislature. Here's where things get interesting. The people have reacted to these proposed measures in a big way. The situation is constantly evolving, but right now, the best we can measure is almost 90% of the 95 counties in the Commonwealth of Virginia have declared themselves to be Second Amendment sanctuaries. Over 80 counties have had town halls or open mics, and the people have come together and almost unanimously said, "We will not comply." Tazewell County, on the western edge of the state, went a bit farther. Not only did they declare themselves a sanctuary, but they've also said they will have mandatory gun safety education in county schools, and they've created an allowance for a county militia. Yep, a frickin' county militia. Now, it's also important to note that these counts reported all over social media are sort of all over the place. Some are out of date, and others include municipalities and cities in the count. Some cities have said no to being a sanctuary, but in large part, the bulk of the state has said yes.